Just on the teams, first of all, how big a boost is it to have several players back in contention this week?
Well, it's the first time all year we've been able to train, 13 on 13. All like meerkats this week, sticking their head up to be selected. So, yeah, it's a great boost at this time of the year. Obviously, I guess the dilemma, James, is team selection, balance of the team, picking guys that haven't played for a while. How many of them do you pick? But undoubtedly, it will add a bit more size and power and experience to what we've already got. So, a great boost at this time.
I was going to say, how tricky is it, given the fact that you probably not had that many selection headaches of late, to try and find that right balance, given what's at stake? Has it been one of the toughest teams to pick in recent weeks?
Yeah, toughest one all season, really, but for different reasons. We've had to pick. We've had tough selections and decisions on the other side of the coin, where who do we play in the halves this week? But at the same time, there's some guys work really hard to put themselves in a position for selection this week, and we've got some, as I said, good, strong, experienced players. So, the dilemma really is how many of them do we put back in, and getting the balance of our team right for this particular fixture. As I said post game last week again, OKR, it's going to be a different game, a different style of prep, different team, player football. Again, a team that made the grand final last year, a vast experience of playing at this time of the season. On the back of a couple of good wins. I know everybody's pointing to the fact we went over there and got a result a few weeks ago, but I'd expect the game to, ramp up a couple of notches in intensity from what were a fairly intense game there, but we'd expect it to be ratcheted up this weekend.
And when people talk about playoffs being a different level, is it all about the intensity that you've just mentioned there, or is there something else that changes?
Oh, look, everybody's desperate. You can't stop moving in a playoff game. The temperature dips a little, the ground gets a little bit greasier, and as we've seen over the last 20 years, some teams are really masters at playing at this time of the year. The style of game, I guess it depends who you're playing, James. I think we're fully aware of what particular style of game we'll get this week from Wigan. And again, as I said, they're on the back of a couple of good wins, really good wins. So I think their mindset and confidence will have changed dramatically. And a bit like ourselves, really, we wanted to get to this point in the season. The challenge for us was to get this far, given everything what's happened to us. But now we're in there and we've got a few more guys to pick from. And again, a little bit like Wigan, they'll have some players coming back. It's all about putting yourselves in a position where, you're in it at this point of the season, and we are. There would be no easy fixture in the top six. And it's, again, mate, we've got to prepare well and try and get it done on the night. We'd expect a close game, a tight game. I think they're a team excellent defensive team. People are pointing to their attack a little bit, but when you defend as well as they defend, it's a good, strong position to be in. The try-line defence is outstanding, and they've not been conceding many tries at all for a long, long time now. So it goes back to, making sure that we stay patient, and any opportunities that come our way, we got to grab them. While at the same time, while they probably haven't been as productive with the ball as they would have liked, I still look at the team and see an enormous amount of threat in there. And as I say, at this stage of the season, you won't expect anything other than a tight, intense contest.
Just lastly for me, Richard, Leeds have won it from fifth before more than once. I know it's a very different playing group and those players have moved on, but can you take confidence from the fact that the club has been there and done it before?
It's a different group. You're talking about the guys that won it from fifth, whether, what's termed as the golden generation, seasoned international that had been there many, many times. We're a side in our evolution. I think what you can deduce is you can win it from fifth, and at the moment, you've 2 games to get in there, as opposed to 3 if you finish outside the 4. So it is a slightly shorter route to the final, but it's all about this week, James, for us. Look, look, we want it to be here. It goes without saying that training itself ramps up a little bit this week. It did last week, and it's gone up a little bit again this week. But so our opposition will be in exactly the same position as us. So all we'll do is prepare well and see what comes on the night. Confidence, desire won't be an issue. If anything, that we could pull off from the past, it's last year where after we won the Challenge Cup, we went into the playoffs and we had a really poor start to a game, and we reviewed it. We didn't brush it under the carpet. We came in and reviewed it, and we had a massively disappointed bunch of players that had a really poor start and probably not the best week leading into the game. Not a bad week, but not where it needs to be. We had a lot of COVID disruptions, if you remember, around that particular point. So we've got to smooth the running to this, and the guys have talked about the disappointment they felt last year that we left it too late. We started poorly in a game, and the clock ran away from us in a game that we probably felt we'd enough chances to put ourselves through to what would have been the penultimate game. So I think the guys are keen to challenge ourselves and go a little bit further than we did last year in it.
How exciting is the prospect of actually getting Pryor, Tetevano, Aledzki on the field together? You've not had that luxury too often this year.
No, obviously we decide which way we go. We've got King back in the mix as well. So we've got to decide, mate, which is our best middle to start the game and rotation this week. But the big players for us, and we felt that all along we have got a good pack, and we got a really good middle. Just unfortunate for us that we have had an inability through a lot of various reasons not to get those three guys on the field at the same time too much. Off the top of my head, I'd estimate probably 5 or 6 games this year. So yeah, that has had an effect on us. I say, don't forget, Zane's coming back after a 3-week ban, and Mickey's had 6 weeks off as well. So there's always an element of, I wouldn't say risk, but unknown in that. The guys probably wouldn't be as game ready and battle hardened as we would have liked coming into this, but at the same time, they're experienced players too. So it's a boost for us, mate. It's a big boost coming into a game like this.
Just a quick one from me. I mean, you've obviously touched on last year, the Catalans game, but obviously it was surreal circumstances for you and actually being there. How good would it be to be actually in the ground, physically able to influence as much as you can?
Yeah, we've about 36 hours to go, Dave, so you can't take anything for granted in this day and age, mate. No, I'm looking forward to it. I feel we're in a different place. I think last year we got to that situation. We won the cup, and yeah, that took a little bit out of our team, I think. And I would also say we were beat up by the calendar at that time, Dave, too. The schedule had actually done a lot of damage to our team mentally and physically. I remember going to Wakefield at the back end of last year where, we threw a team out there and just had to get through a game, really. We ended up winning. So our preparation and our running weren't as good. I think we through some of the congestion, even though we've had some short turnarounds, I feel physically we're probably in a better place, and some of that is down to the guys. Some of our bigger players haven't had a 24-game season. Some of them have only played around sort of 12, 14 games, some of them 16 games. So in terms of being overplayed and beat up, we're not. We've got some guys obviously coming in a little bit underdone, but at the same time, I don't feel that mentally and physically we're in the same place as we were last year. And again, I think the way we started that game were a real indication of that. So, we have referred to that disappointment that we felt last year, and we're determined not to feel that way this year. But at the same time, games like this, Dave, it's just who delivers on the night. We've prepared well. We've got a strong team out there. We just got to deliver again a really tough, uncompromising team.